This is the second day in the row this caterpillar has just strolled across my garage here. What are you doing, caterpillar? So we're at the nut crushing phase. Sounds like my wife's battery on her leaf blower is about dead. So we're at about the nut crushing phase. So we're just wrapping this stuff up. Gonna throw a breather box in this guy. So I made a custom breather box for this guy. It's hi. Never plugged my stuff, so I'll do a little plug on my stuff. In Monkey Fab, and yeah. So I would usually run AN fittings to this guy, but he already had it running with the 3/8" lines on a previous breather box that was in there. And it was working fine, so I figured if it's working fine, then we'll just rock with it instead of replacing all the lines and charging extra money. And if he has any kind of trouble with it, then we can always bring it back and swap the lines out to bigger AN lines. But yeah, really nice. They're really nice, high quality silicone lines, so we'll run with those. But yeah, I do make custom parts, so not necessarily cheap. These usually start about $300, which is cheap to some and not cheap to others. But you can check out my website. I have a website. It's called monkeyfabgarage.com. Check out all the cool stuff. You go get a t-shirt. You get a Monkey Fab t-shirt. So I'm not like most people in that I try to sell my t-shirts for $1 billion, because I figure if you are kind enough to want to wear my t-shirt, then it's like free advertising for me. So I kind of just charge a little bit more than what they cost me, which is, I think they're $10 each. And you can get them there. I have my wife, she's the smart one in the family, obviously. She's done a pop-up, so as soon as you go to the website, it pops up, and you can just click the button and say, yeah, I'd like a t-shirt, and get a Monkey Fab t-shirt in several different colors. So I usually, when I order them, I usually order like one fancy color, and then we always have like the green, the red, the blue. Pretty typical. If you got some orange, maybe some military green, but that's boring stuff. So anyway, here's the lines that were already in it, and all we're going to do is just shorten them with the needed, and stick this guy right over them. No, everybody. Okay, so it no working, which is just how things go in the world of making parts. So we got to make it work. So this thing is not functional, so we are just going to make one that is functional. Okay, so I have made this nice little schematic here to kind of explain what was going on that made me stop. So it should have been pretty much simple, 5-10 minute install job, but turned out that the bracket that was in there was really thin and flimsy, and the the surge tank that was sitting in the battery tray that was supposed to sit next to the breather box that I made. They're just a little bit different height. So along with the bowing and the height being off, just the simple solution was just make a new bracket. You know, so that's what we did. We went ahead and we just designed a thicker bracket to go in place of the thin, flimsy one. And we got the correct spacing and welded spacers on the bottom of it. So now when it bolts down and clamps both the surge tank and the breather box into the battery tray, it clamps it firmly in place because it is a race car and you don't want it slopping all over the place. So that's just how the day went, and you can follow along as we make this cool little bracket. All right, so here is a piece of 1/4 inch aluminum. This was like 10 gauge aluminum, so we're just gonna cut it out of the 1/4 inch, which will make it stronger. And whatever spacer's there, we're just gonna cut and make a spacer, and we'll weld it on the bottom so it'll be nice custom fit, and everything will be nice and snug inside the car so it's not flopping around, because you don't want stuff flopping around. So I'll bring you along for this adventure. Recording? We're on? We on? Yes. All right. Works great, makes a hell of a mess. But you see that? Look at that. So that is the difference there. So So that just cleans it up, takes all the rough edges off, makes it look nice. Has a nice uniform appearance to it. So this guy seemed to be off a little bit. So I'm going to go back and just double check before we start punching holes in this thing to see if I'm going to adjust these two holes on either end. And can you see them? And if so, where do I adjust them to? So I'll take a short. Yeah, so they both do need adjusting. So I'm just going to kind of put them pretty much center line is where they need to be. Just a little bit of offset. And good. A little bit of smacky smack. And more smacky smack. And I've talked about this before, but it is called a center drill. And if you look at the center drill, the cool thing about the center drill is the tip. It's 90 degrees. And your normal bits are 118 degrees. So these guys are much flatter on the tip. So what that does is they tend to want to walk around a lot more. But when you use the center drill, it's just going to cut straight down. So that so it doesn't walk all over the place. So if you got something you're setting up and you need to drill and you need it to actually go where you put the drill bit instead of wandering like 20 thou to the left or right, then a center drill is a great tool to have in your okay. So we got that. Now we need to figure out how much stuff we need to weld on the bottom of it so we can clamp down on that that tray. So about 40 thou. So we'll cut this stuff, which I think, like I know, it's 1/4 inch. Yeah, it's 1/4 inch. So we'll cut a couple pieces of this, and we'll just go kind of check it out, see if it works, and if not, we'll have plenty of 10 gauge laying around. We can use that too. Alrighty, so that worked. So we're all spaced out, and we're all good in the hood. I'll clean these guys up, and you know what I'll do is I'm going to shorten one of these guys a little bit. And that'll let me weld this onto that. So we'll give it like a little step, make life a little easier on us. And cool beans. So we'll clean these guys up. You want to do some welding? battery died when I was getting this ready, so I'm not really sure what was all captured on the film. So just a quick recap. What I did is I heated this up with my torch. Just put some heat into the part. It's thick, 1/4 inch, pretty thick. For me, anyway, I usually only mess with the thinner stuff, like 10 gauge, 1/8. But just want to get some heat in that because I knew it would just take a little bit of time to get the heat, to get into there and puddle, make a nice puddle. So did that, and then when we lit up, I'm at about 200 amps. I'm at about 75 AC balance and 120 frequency. So I lit up and just kind of focused the arc. Oh, and my flow's at like 12, 15 CFH. And I just focus it down to the thick piece. And then when I start, kind of put some heat into it, wasn't really in a rush, put some heat into it, you're just watching it look. It looks kind of frosty. You're not putting enough puddle that you want to puddle it yet because you want the heat to build up in there to make for a little bit cleaner of a weld. So once you think like, yeah, I've probably got enough heat into it, and you see it kind of wanting to start to puddle anyway, just go ahead and throttle down, kind of guide your arc so you're up on the small piece, kind of look at the same. You should see the puddle start to form, and then just smash the tungsten in there, kind of bridge the gap. They'll fuse, and then they'll basically kind of want to cook like one. So we just tacked both sides. We ran a little bead on the inside there, and then we came back and tapped the top one on, and then just went back and did a quick little stitch weld on the inside. So nothing fancy, nothing beautiful, but it's going to be a functional piece. Much better capacity to hold stuff down than the little thin one that was on there originally. Okay, back to where we were before we were so rudely interrupted by stuff that wouldn't fit. So when you got to push hoses and couplers and stuff like that on this quick detailer stuff, it's like a spray, wipe on, wipe on, wipe on, wipe off. This stuff works really good. And I know many of you have been watching this the whole time and watching me cut all the zip ties off the car, and you've been thinking, oh my God, how will it possibly be able to stay together without all the zip ties on the car? Well, I have zip ties. Don't worry, my friends. Fret not. There you can see what we got, and like I said, it's in there, nice and tight. It's going nowhere as long as the battery trays go. Now it's actually pulling the battery sheet down in place, so it's good. So that is all well and good. That looks better. So I forget where I'm at. Oh yeah, I gotta put the intake pipe in. Okay, so that's just how it goes sometimes. It was just a simple install on a breather box that I already made months previous, and go to put it in, and you know what, the measurements were a little bit different than what we were originally believed them to be. Not a big deal, just and that bracket was crap. It was so thin and flimsy, so we just remade it. No big deal. And then finally here, I'm just cleaning up the bumper. It was my first time ever trimming plastic, stuff like that. I used the woven abrasive disc after the aerosol, just to kind of clean it all up. And it did a pretty good job, made it look nice and smooth. So thanks everybody for dropping by with Monkey Fab. Appreciate it.